sometimes, and you did say it in the South Pacific, sometimes you tell the audience that when they get the recording not to listen to it and to wait a while, and you did on that occasion. And I guess I'm just sort of wondering why? Why wait and listen? Why collectively as a group do we wait and then listen later?
Because it takes quite a long time for them to get them to you.
That is not the answer I was expecting.
We know, we were just trying to get you off guard a little bit. When we say that, we don't always say that. We say that on occasion to a group that is trying too hard.
Oh, okay, okay.
In other words, we want you to realize you've already got it, that you received
Right.
everything that was of value. We don't want you to scrutinize it and struggle over it and turn it into a classroom environment. And if you wait until the impulse, you'll tap right into the place that is important to you.
Right.
We said to Jerry and Esther in the beginning, because Jerry was so excited about what he was hearing from Abraham through Esther. And he had a tape recorder and a microphone pinned to her lapel, more than it wasn't in the early days. There are boxes and buildings and rooms full of recordings because Jerry did not want to miss anything. And we said to him, you'll need a whole other lifetime to listen back to this. And they thought that was very funny at the time, but it's not that funny. You really don't have time to go back and listen to everything again and again and again and again and again. Life is moving fast for you. And as you said, there is a shifting within you that takes place. And that new shifting is going to bring about new experiences. And if you've received the basics from a conversation like this, the basics being you are really good as you are and you are so worthy of wonderful things happening. And wonderful things are flowing to you, and you've just got to tune in to see them. And the more you see them, the more you'll see them. And the more you see them, the more they'll happen. And the more they happen, the more you'll see them. And the more you see them, the more they'll happen. In other words, once you get into that rhythm, then you don't need to continue to go back and talk about the basics again. You've got them. It's like learning mathematical equations. And once you learn them, you can apply them to any situation and get reliable results. And this is the same way, you see. That's why in the early days we called this the science of deliberate creation. Because you create your own reality, and we wanted you to be purposeful about it. But you just became maniacs about it. You canceled. You'd say something or think something and you try to suck it back before law of attraction got hold of it and gave it to you. And so then we wanted to put the emphasis on what's really going on. The emphasis is on you getting in the receptive mode. You can do something about that. Everything else is taking care of itself. Life's showing you lots of contrast, which is causing you to define and discern and decide what you prefer. That just happens. We don't have to teach you that. That just happens. You're doing that naturally. The youngest ones among you, the oldest ones among you, you're doing that naturally. And you don't have to do anything to get source to understand you, to know you, and to answer your prayers. There's nothing that you need to do. You couldn't be more worthy. Step 1 and step 2 are happening all day, every day, eternally. But that receptive mode, that caring about how you feel, that's where it's at, isn't it?
So during my travels, I was putting myself into that. I still am, but more during my travels, I was putting myself in that receptive mode, and I was creating those jolts for myself. I was putting myself into those moments.
Well said. You're getting ready for the jolt, because we're jolting you all day, every day.
Okay.
We've electrocuted you 500 times already today. New things that you have not heard before, if you're paying attention.
Okay.
We've gone to places that we have never been before. The universe has expanded because of this short morning already, you see.
Awesome. That's exactly what happened. I talked to you about childhood dreams in Sydney, and we talked about one specifically, which was going to Australia, and I was already there. And months later, I was home. I was at my traveling home. Yeah, I was just kind of in bed, and I was in a really great feeling place. And it just really was this inspired thought that actually felt like sitting in the chair with you and having this conversation. That was, Abraham said that the only reason that it was this lifelong or childhood dream was because I had more resistance to it, and it was so easy to buy a plane ticket to go. Actually, somebody else bought a plane ticket for me to go. So that was even easier. And then as I was sitting there, any little thing that I wanted, little or big, from when I was a child, just sort of came to the surface and said, that would be easy, you can have that right now. That's easy, you can have that right now. And instead of this one conversation which I had had with you on one topic of travel, what I got in that moment was all of the extra little residual things which were really big and important to me, and they were all at that point in that level of receptive mode completely attainable, and it felt amazing.
When you hang around in that receptive mode consistently, your moments in time become richer, because not only are you steadily moving toward the big stuff you want, but all of the intertwining of everything along the way. It's like the tapestry of everything that matters to you is showing itself to you as you are moving along. It's like a very effective concierge who has taken your information and knows everything that you'd like, and is taking you on a tour of a city and is pointing out everything that matters to you times about 10,000 in the moment. Where when you get into that receptive mode, and it isn't only that your ability to rendezvous increases dramatically, but your ability to perceive what you've rendezvoused with increases too. It's like, imagine someone having prepared a really significantly spectacular dish for you to eat, but you're in a bad mood, or you're afraid while you're eating it. It just tastes like glue. Haven't you ever eaten something wonderful and it didn't taste good at all to you because of your frame of mind? But imagine being so tuned in that your inner being is tasting through you. So your ability to translate the contents of this food is more exaggerated and more defined than it has ever been before. So that the nuances of what you're tasting are so spectacular that you can't even really define it to others. You can't even explain what it tastes like. And we promise you, any given food does not taste the same way to any two people, because your ability to taste it is influenced by your connection to source energy. And now apply that to sight and sound and sensual, physical. Apply that to everything, and feel what it feels like to be in a human receptive body, able to experience life the way the source within you is experiencing it in this moment in time. And whether you get there or not, we are. Whether you get there or not, we are, you see.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Something more?
I would love to, if that's okay.
If you've got something else?
I do. In New Zealand this fall at Mount Cook. Mount Cook is shrouded in clouds, apparently, so they tell me. Difficult to see, but there's a beautiful face in the mountain if you get the opportunity to see it. Every traveler I passed along the way told me the weather was terrible and you weren't going to be able to see it. And I just thought, not for me, seeing that face. And I went there. I had a really joyful journey there. And I went there for the birthday of the gentleman that I spoke with you about previously who transitioned. And so I went there to celebrate his birthday, and I gave myself a little bit of leeway because it is supposedly shrouded in clouds. So I gave myself 2 nights and 3 days and wanted to see the face at some point in those 3 days. Was fine with whenever I got to see it. Hopeful for like a real good celebratory birthday with my transition guy. And I arrived at Mount Cook, and the bus driver was shocked and announced to all of us that this was the greatest visibility they'd had all year. We better go enjoy it while we can. So we did, saw the face, took pictures, everything. And I signed up for all of these hikes, and for the next 3 days, every single day, every time I was outside, that face was visible. And so much so that I'm walking on the hike, and I look and I'm like, oh my God, it's so breathtakingly amazing. I have to take a picture. And then I keep walking and I'm facing away from it, and I take a glimpse again, and it's there, and it's even better than a minute ago. I just wanted to share that because I guess that is what you're telling me, is that I can turn back and look at that face, and that's my experience with Source, and I can milk that more and feel that amazingness better and better all the time. Yeah, and he and I did that?
Yes, 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 yes,
Yeah.
yes, and yes. But there's one other piece that we're wanting to give to you that you're almost understanding, and that is that's what pre-paving is. That's what getting in the receptive mode. That's what our friend was reaching for with imagination earlier. When you're in the receptive mode and anticipating, what you do is, in the simple way of saying it, you give the universe an opportunity to orchestrate on your behalf well in advance. And you kept it going by, not me, it's always that way for me, not me, it's always that way for me, not me, it's always that way for me, it's always that way for me. Things are always working out for me, things are always working out for me, things are always working out for me. Because there are plenty of pessimists down here talking about what's going wrong and how you need to be guarded and you've got to have really good timing. Not me. I don't have to get a number today and a number tomorrow and a number the next day and a number the next day. The universe is always yielding to me whatever I need all the time, 100% of the time. What I want is always visible to me. I'm the only one that shrouds the beauty with my doubt. Yes.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You guys are waking up, wanting in on it. Yep, come on up. Feeling a little frisky, aren't you?